Gam Ganapataye Namaha. In one's life, there should be need of spirituality. Spirituality gives a kind of ethical and moral values to enlighten the personality of a person and his personality. Especially during personality development, the science of spirituality is very much needed. Nowadays, these vices or bad things are happening due to lack of spirituality. Spirituality means we should not get fear. That may be like sainthood or something, sage-like. Spirituality means one should know oneself, that's all. Unless we know about ourselves, how can we judge others? Spirituality gives a kind of knowledge to know oneself easily. Therefore, spirituality plays the most important role in one's personality development. In this regard, we have to understand the values of spirituality. It gives love and respect towards youngster and elders. If a person possesses the knowledge in science of spirituality, he can estimate others in a proper way. He can move courteously with others. He can understand the feeling of others. Therefore, we have to adopt spirituality from the beginning day itself. In this way, the spiritual qualities are making a person to take near to the God. Spirituality means nothing. It's a godliness. If you feel work is worship, that should be done by the effect of spirituality, spiritual knowledge. Spiritual knowledge gives a person to update one's own good and bad. One can estimate oneself whether he is following right path or wrong path. Moreover, one's psychological feelings will be based on spirituality. A person possesses sound in psychological way means he is a person can understand the science of psychology, science of spirituality. Thus we can say many ways spiritual qualities are needed to give respect and take respect. It gives a kind of belief in God. It makes you spiritual. The spiritual experience also gives a sort of holy mind, pure mind and pure activities to be done in a proper way. By adopting moral and ethical values, a person can take to an exalted position in one's life without hurting others. One can lead a peaceful life. One can get the characteristics of self-satisfaction, self-contentment, self-discipline, etc., etc., by understanding the science of spirituality. When we think in this way, the science of spirituality gives us various fruits. There is no doubt. So, basing on that, today I took the topic of science of spirituality. पूज्याय राघवेन्द्राय सत्यधर्मरताय च भजतां कल्पवृक्षाय नमतां कामधेनवे. Spirituality can be defined broadly as a sense of connection to something higher than ourselves. Many people search for meaning in their lives. The sense of transcendence experience in spirituality is a universal experience. Some find it in monotheistic religion, while others find it in meditation. While the understanding of spirituality differs across religions and belief systems, it can be described by finding meaning and purpose in life. Religion and spirituality are not understood in the same way, though they often overlap. Spirituality describes a much broader understanding of an individual's connection with the transcendent aspects of life. Seeking a meaningful connection with something bigger than yourself can result increased positive emotions. Transcendent moments are filled with peace, awe, and contentment. Emotional and spiritual well-being overlap like most aspects of well-being. Self-transcendent emotions are linked to increased spirituality to increased level. It is hypothesized that spirituality is related to the broaden and build theory. Though not all positive emotions stimulate a self-transcendent state, some increase a self-practices in spirituality. What is the science of spirituality? When plague hit, people turned into religion. When war hits, people pray for and depend on one each other. When terror tries to steal life from us, we stand in solidarity and hope for the goodness of humanity. Science is a very valuable part of humanity. However, it has not yet explained it all. Stepping fully into a meaningful life requires a shift in the way we show up for ourselves and others. Building the science of spirituality into a practice takes intention and effort. The benefits are far reaching, even if perfect. Let us see the relationship between spirituality and science. The relationship between spirituality and science is not necessarily contentions, but has certainly had its difficulties. Scientifically tracking emotions can be like searching for meaning in the shapes we see in the clouds. While the experience of emotions varies from person to person, the experience of transcendent emotions can be seen as more universal and is connected to spirituality. Self-transcendent emotions connect us all through pro-social behavior. Emotions like gratitude, compassion, and awe connect us although their pro-social capacity. Transcendent emotions promote behavior that connect human beings and stabilize pro-social connection. Let us see self-transcendent emotions. It has 8 types: compassion, awe, gratitude, appreciation, inspiration, admiration, elevation, and finally, eighth is love. These emotions have a particular capability of bonding individuals together. They are linked with higher levels of spirituality. As self transcendent emotions are focused on others, more meaningful, purpose filled interactions are possible. The psychology of gratitude is conceptualized as a higher emotion connected to morality. Gratitude has been described in science as a pro-social moral emotion that is useful for two key reasons. It functions as a moral barometer because it indicates when an interpersonal interaction is perceived as beneficial. Another, it reminds us that our power is limited. The benefits of the practice of gratitude are far reaching, regardless of religious ideation. The psychology of forgiveness has various definitions. The broadest definition is an adaptive human instinct activated in certain social situations. By this definition, forgiveness does not require a future relationship with someone who has wronged you. It frees you instead of the instinct for vengeance. The psychology of self compassion has been empirically backed through the work of the Christian Neff. Self compassion is conceptualized in three components: expressing kindness towards oneself and viewing one's shortcomings with a non judgmental attitude, connecting one's experience of suffering with that of the collective human experience. Become mindful of suffering without becoming attached or making it a part of one's identity. These four virtues of hope, gratitude, forgiveness, and self compassion are found in all areas of religion in various ways. Spirituality and science overlap in foundational ways to allow for the human experience to bond us in a collective experience. Interventions that value the unique worldview of each individual will be more impactful as they allow for individual belief systems to be enhanced by science. Science versus spirituality. Skeptical take. It can be challenging to view science and spirituality together. Spirituality is universally connective in the realization that suffering is a part of human existence. Science and tough minded folks often try to downplay the role that innate spiritual practice has on well being. Even well meaning psychologists may have a negativity bias toward interventions offered in positive psychology. With a traditional focus on diagnosis and pathology treatment, less attention is spent on psychological health. Opening minds to interventions that encompass spirituality might help aid the individual treatment. There have been over 300 studies seeking to understand the relationship between spirituality and health. Yet there remain many who question the validity of the impact Spirituality can have own well-being. Many practitioners in the hard sciences have a healthy skepticism toward data and hypotheses that are correlational rather than causal. One might say to the skeptics, what will it hurt? Discussing an individual's spirituality in treatment could be a spark that they need to ignite their hope and motivation toward personal goals. A descriptive rather than prescriptive understanding of spirituality may do more good than harm, especially when action is later self motivated. Let us get empirically proved benefits of spirituality. Increased social stresses have been linked to physiological problems like respiratory illness and increased risk for cardiovascular problems. Theorists early as William James have hypothesized that an individual's spiritual practices can influence physiological as well as psychological well-being. With so many links to immune system boosts and higher survival rates in the heart surgery survivors, it is an important to have a look at the proven benefits of spirituality. Spirituality is universally influenced and psychologically well-being is more challenging to prove. There is ample evidence to highlight the benefits of one might experience by having a spiritual practice. Most studies are correlational. However, most are also empirically proves across religions. Most people would agree that they don't need experimental evidence to interest that spirituality will help them have higher rates of all well-being and life satisfaction. Now, volunteer or donate to the poor. Regular community service can serve as a buffer against the effects of stress, thus leading to longer lives. Meditate to cope with stress. 42% of the spiritual people mediate which can be stressed rather than outtreat or indulge in unhealthy copying behaviors. Meditation has all kinds of benefits from improved health, happiness, and focus to decreased pain and depression. Live with a built-in community after food and shelter. Social connection is the top predictor of health, authentic happiness, and longevity. Religious people are more likely to spend time with the family or land. Feel a story sense of belonging to community of like-minded people. Turn to prayer. Research suggests prayer helps people find comfort by assisting them to deal with difficult emotions, encourages forgiveness, and experimental leads to healthier relationships. Of course, these findings could also be indicate a placebo effect. We tend to feel better when we believe something will make us feel better. Even if they are place effects, can it hurt to go to yoga class, volunteer at a homeless shelter, or attend the silent retreat. The benefits may be worthwhile. Higher levels of psychological resilience, positive emotions, and improved immune response have all been linked with spirituality. Spirituality is not a simple subject for experimental study. However, knowing that there is such a high correlation with physical and psychological well being, most practitioners would agree that improvement in how care providers include spirituality in practice is warranted. Let us start our own practice, regardless of religion's background. Starting a practice to find moments of transcendence is highly beneficial. Most human beings are looking for meaning in their lives, forming connections in troubling times, cases stress and depressive symptoms, and increase immune response. Start small and make new habits easily. There is no need to fully adopt a set of beliefs overnight. Becoming more spiritual can be as simple as staying silent for 5 to 10 minutes a day in a quiet, soothing environment. Next, commit. Love yourself enough. Transcendent emotional daily. Though increasing hope, kindness, self compassion, gratitude, and how anyone can start being more spiritual right away. All it takes is one decision to change perspective. Practice. Finding monuments, transcendence, or replacing in a frustration will not happen by waving a magic wand. Human beings must practice mindful attention to their thoughts, emotions, and behavior to find experience in spirituality. Let us have a study. Explore others' experience of spirituality, whether through religion or personal journeys. Find something that you find relatable. Ask questions and get curious about people who have cultivated this beautiful way of being in the world. Let us develop an optimistic explanatory system. While getting curious and beginning to ask more questions, slowing down how you speak, and exploring strong, permanently held beliefs can be open your mind to more possibilities. Choose love and respect. With every interaction, lead with a loving and kind way of being. Even when dealing with awkward interactions, staying calm and in a loving mindset can de-escalate their situation. Can imagine the Dalai Lama yelling at someone. He interacts with skeptics and he highly intelligent people who might seek to threaten his way of being in the world. Yet he shows up every single time with love. He respects his interactions as opportunities to learn from alternative perspectives. Develop a space where spirituality is accepted. While there will always be differences in how people connect with their personal spirituality, having an open space for it to show up is an important place to start. Allowing for inclusion is a vital part of any business to benign to include spirituality. Let us include gratitude. Business that time this latitude infused into their daily work typically thrive. Infusing gratitude in every interaction is a massive shift. For example, when a different conversation is happening through thanking someone for the perspective is a grounding space for all parts. We are a human mindset of integrity and service into every aspect of our business. The more on others focused approach can be intervened in business, the better employees and customers will reduce their business. Decide how employees are expected to show up and who is at you are surviving with absolute integrity and honesty. Let us include comparisons in your time with love. He respects his interactions as opportunities to learn from alternative perspectives. Develop a space where they'll be always accepted. While there will always be differences in how people connect with the personal spirituality, though an open space for it to show up is an important place to start. Allowing for inclusion is a vital part only because to begin include spirituality. Technical or include gratitude. Business that have this attitude infused into the daily work typically thrive. Infusing gratitude is every interaction is a massive shift. For example, when a threat conversation is happening, thanking someone for their perspective is a grounding scope for all parts. Weave a human set of integrity and service into every aspect of your own bankers. The more others focused approach can be interviewed in businesses, the better employees and customers will receive the business. Delhi is decided in such a way. So, employees are expected to show up and who it is you are the serving with absolute integrity and honesty. Include the compassion in how your knowledge gives to the world. The most impactful business are through a genuine relativeness that they make to humanity. Imagine it was marketing focusing followed by the entirely on a needed a product or service, an AM act of expansion. People who are inspired by the work they are more spirituality connected with the work they are doing. Cultivate opportunities for your employees to connect with the higher message of the work you do. Would hold a space for each employee to find the value in the work they do and they don't, the effect it has an R and odd. Let us get benefit in God makes you spiritual. An atheist cannot be spiritual. But you must not understand that even a theist cannot be spiritual. Because an atheist and a theist are not different. One believes there is nothing. Another believes there is no God. Both of them are believing something that they do not know. You are not sincere enough to admit that you do not know. That is your problem. So theist and atheist are indifferent. They are the same people putting up an act of being different. A spiritual seeker is neither a theist or an atheist. He has realized that he is no, so he is seeking. The moment you believe something, you become blind to every else. The whole conflict on the planet is not between good and evil as they are trying to project it. It is always one word belief versus another one's left. What is a spiritual experience? Going to the ocean or the mountain and seeking an experience may be beautiful. You must enjoy the world the way it is, but you must understand that fish in the ocean does not think it's a spirituality experience, nor does the motivation goats think the mountain as a spiritual experience. They are there all the time. If you bring them to the city, they may think it's a spiritual experience. It is a breaking of the barrier within you. Something broke with you. You were in skull. Thus is broken, and because bigger daggaraku shell also it comes. What I am saying is, if you get used to the big shell, if you feel the same way as the previous one, so if you want to be boundless and you are trying to attempt it through physically, you are essentially trying to ground level boundlessness in installments. Something you might have touched when you jumped there on. No? So he is seeking a simple practice. One this is, we can put you on something else is very simple, which is subjective. Any subjective technology cannot be taught to you in uncommitted atmosphere. So, if you are really willing to give yourself a small pace of future that is very committed and focused, we even put your on a simple practice where interesting just 21 minutes a day you can start your day with a very phenomenal spiritual experience within you, a very powerful experience that levels you peaceful and joyful throughout the day. Apart from that, the sustain it. One simple thing every human being has to do this. Make your sense of involvement individual discriminable. If you look at the person, a tree or a cloud, you are equally involved. You are equally involved with your own busy and the breath. If you have no discrimination as to which is better, and you are the involved with every aspect of life, then you will be constantly spiritual. Nobody needs to teach you now what is spirituality. Spirituality means knowing that our lives have significance in a context beyond a mundane everyday existence at the level of biological needs. The drive, selfishness, and aggression means knowing that we are significant part of purposeful life. Unfolding of life in our universe, spirituality involves exploring certain universal theme: love, compassion, altruism, life after death, wisdom and truth, the knowledge that some people such as saints or enlightened individuals has to achieve and manifested higher levels of development. If than the ordinary person or ordinary person. Aspiring to manifest the attributes of such inspired examples, often because an important part of the journey horror fly for spirituality included people. The spiritual journey involves first healing and affirming the ego so that positive states are experienced with several self-esteem, but for low and quantity person becomes less constrained by ego defended. Srikanthaya Kalyana Nidhi Nidhi Dhanam Sri Venkataramasaya Srinivasaya Mangalam Mangalasastra Padachar Purokme Sarvesha Purvairacharya Satkruta Yastu Mangalam.